What's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And we have a special guest with us here on the State of the Saints podcast. We have New Orleans Saints legend, and we also have the godfather of the Who Dat Nation, Mr. Bobby Hebert. How you doing, sir?
Doing great. Can't wait for the season to come around. It looks like it's going to be a hot summer, and but now they have the best of both worlds with the indoor facilities. Get out the heat index if it gets up to 110.
Yeah.
But before you know it, the season will be here, and I'm looking forward to one less preseason game. You know, like the model we used, last year where they introduced. The more regular season games, the better. I like it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I think everybody, likes the regular season. People are kind of over the whole preseason thing, which I understand, why it exists. But, I mean, it's nothing like the regular season. And, Bobby, there hasn't been anything like this past offseason. And I guess that'd be the first question I have for you. Have you ever seen an offseason like this when it comes to the Saints? Because, everything is normally so nip and tuck, right? I mean, you kind of know what you expect. Right. Probably one or two positions that might be an intriguing storyline. But, I mean, it has been an unbelievable offseason. Now, what are your thoughts on this offseason? Have you seen anything like this?
No, I haven't. Boy, it seemed like there was news every other week, breaking news. And I look, just to show you, our wide receiving core, it kind of went from the outhouse to the penthouse, so to speak. Now, Michael Thomas, we still got to wait to see him on the field, but I'm not going to start to get concerned until, come training camp, they're going to have the mandatory, we get to go witness their one OTA on Thursday to media.
Right.
Then the next week they have the mandatory mini camp. So I think we're going to have to wait maybe until August. But, around these parts, in Louisiana, how we love our, high school, college, professional athletes.
Right.
Around here, when you meet someone, you ask them, and they're from Louisiana or New Orleans. Well, where did you go to high school?
Right.
So having Jarvis Landry and Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu coming back home, that reminds what it reminds me of, and they haven't had this LSU impact at this level with the Saints since I played. I'm talking about late '80s, early '90s with Eric Martin and Dalton Hilliard.
Yeah.
When I look at that, and now having Jarvis Landry and Tyrann Mathieu, a lot of LSU fans are excited about that.
Yeah,
it's just ironic that that Coach Payton's not around.
Yeah,
and I think there might be some truth to that. Why didn't Coach Payton have more LSU players? We seem like we're Ohio State of the South.
Yeah,
and then if we do go to Southern team, it probably would be Tennessee, but. I'm trying to think name Scholar Green. Yeah, Scholar Green from LSU, from the West Bank. Grew up in New Orleans across the West Bank of the Mississippi River. And I remember Sean getting really irritated, and this is a few years back, when all of a sudden all the media wanted to interview like every day or every other day with Scholar Green. And Sean Payton's looking at me. He's not even going to make the team. I don't want to talk to him. And I'm like, I said, it's just because he's a local guy. And I said, that's why he's getting all that attention. So I think that kind of perturbed Sean. And that's just my theory. Why maybe we didn't have more impactful LSU players. But you talk about free agency, then you look at the draft, very active. I was, interested in what we were going to do because the stability we had at the safety position.
Right.
You look at Malcolm Jenkins and Marcus Williams, and I think Marcus Williams is going to do an outstanding job with the Ravens, Baltimore Ravens now. But, hey, I think we might not miss a beat now. They got to be able to communicate. That's one thing on the Malcolm Jenkins and with Marcus Williams. You really didn't see the last couple of seasons any mental like bust as far as coverage and
right.
With the cornerbacks, like, well, who has they don't see any arguments about busted coverages and I think we'll get to that where considering the offseason and training camp with Marcus May and Tyrann Mathieu and I think CD Deuce, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is going to get even better.
Yeah.
And I think right now, this might be because this is one position that's really been weak in Saints history.
Yep.
As far as cornerback, I think this might be the best situation we have at cornerback than we've ever had. The only thing that could set us back could be injuries, but with Marshawn Lattimore, Paulson Adebo, Bradley Roby, I mean that's three legit starters. You never can have too many cover guys, and
that's true.
The way I look at it now, the base defense is really a nickel these day and age. Even though Caden Ellis is listed as a starter, it's going to be more with a 2 linebacker set and not and 5 DBs or even 6 at times. Nickel or a dime.
Yeah.
But I look at us right now that if our defense could play like they played last year, they don't have to be much, better. Just play consistent like they played last year. Special teams, having a top 5 special teams. I don't know how we cannot win double digits. We can't be snake bit as we were last year with all these injuries. But I tell you what, when Las Vegas came out with it originally, it was before we had, but it hasn't gone up that much. Just before we got Jarvis Landry, Tyrann Mathieu in the draft, they had the Saints at 7.5 wins.
Right.
I said I would take the over every day. And I'm even thinking right now, I'm even saying so boastful in the addition of Andy Dalton at quarterback. I'm thinking right now whether we had Jameis Winston or Andy Dalton at quarterback, we're going to go at least 10-7.
Wow.
Now,
you've been that impressed with Andy Dalton, Bobby?
Yes, and so has Mike Triplett, of ESPN. Triplett and I was talking about that. We think with all the skins on the wall and how he plays and how he's going to work with Coach Carmichael, that a lot more confident than let's say you had like with Trevor Siemian.
Right.
Even though Trevor, stepped in and did a job. I just look at even with Teddy Bridgewater, all the success, Taysom Hill at times, that Andy Dalton, now I'm not saying he's carrying the team, but I think we have a good enough roster that he'll do the things it takes to win.
Yeah.
And be productive. But no, Jameis is still the guy. I think Jameis Winston stays healthy and he plays great.
Right.
Everyone, we don't know how anyone's going to play. We don't know what Russell Wilson's going to do with the Broncos. We think he's going to do well.
Right.
But I think if Jameis plays great, we have a great chance to go like a 12-5. Even better than 10 wins, like 11-6, 12-5. Now, I think there's no more. And Jameis wouldn't make any excuses. He's working hard, and if his knee's ready to roll, I mean, if he just plays good, I think we could be for sure 9, if not a 10-win season. If he plays poorly, that would be a scenario where it looks like, the team's playing pretty good, but we're an 8-9, 9-8 type team. But I just don't see that. I mean, we are not at the point right now, where you lose Drew Brees, you're replacing Sean Payton. And that's why I think a lot of national people, even Las Vegas, they're kind of thinking, the Saints are really going to take a step back. And I just don't see that. I don't see them going like, 7-10 or 6-11 type season. That's why it's not rebuilding. Shoot, I look at it. We reloaded and ready to roll. Now they got to get off to a great start.
Yeah, that's true.
I think you look at the strength of the schedule. We got to get off to a great start. I'm not saying undefeated, but I'll really be optimistic we get off that. And it counts almost 2 for 1 because of the division. If we can be like 3-1 at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. And let me ask you, let's stay on Jameis Winston. I mean, Jameis Winston, before he got injured, through 7 games. He had 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Do you think that the national media and the skeptics out there being a little bit too harsh on Jameis Winston, not looking at the improvements he made, before he was injured? Or do you think people are just continuously looking at his time in Tampa and maybe they're not evaluating him fairly? Or do you feel like the scrutiny is deserved?
No, it's definitely not deserved. To me, I look at what have he done for him lately, and you have to look how Jameis has produced when he was the starter.
Right.
Now, I think, whenever a quarterback, or a number of positions, but now with the technology and endoscopic surgery and the advancements in that,
right,
is that whenever you have like a serious knee injury, they go, well, he's how he's going to be next year. So I think they being negative and reflecting maybe more on his history with Tampa instead of what he did last year when he was playing and starting. But I'm optimistic. If he's healthy and ready to roll, I think Jameis is going to have success.
Yeah,
I think he's at the level from a maturity standpoint, from a leadership standpoint in the locker room. The players are responding to him. So, no, I do not think Jameis Winston will be the weak link on one of the best rosters, I think, in the NFL. Yeah. It's just the way the NFL is today. You look, for instance, like so what are people saying about the Dolphins? Like a team like Miami. Oh, they got a great roster, but what Tua is going to do?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, what did the Broncos say? Oh, well, even though we're in the AFC West, we got a great roster, but we need a quarterback.
Yeah.
So then what Russell Wilson's going to do? So I think that's just kind of the nature of the beast, and it comes with the territory. But I'm more optimistic, and I'm not even saying at a like a Pro Bowl or All Pro level.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just talking about being steady.
Yeah. And
being steady and playing winning football like he was until he got hurt.
Yeah.
That'll be good enough now, because I think the defense is not going to take a step back. I think even without Malcolm Jenkins and Marcus Williams, and I just look at where we're at. I think David Onyemata, he had a little setback last year, considering he missed the first 6 games because of suspension.
Right.
I think he's going to have a better season. You'd have to only see, I guess, TJ, with the running back position. I'm kind of ticked off that Alvin got in trouble.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I mean, come on, you got to figure they got cameras everywhere. You got to let your homeboys fight.
Yeah,
you can't fight. You just cost you too much money.
Exactly.
And then especially, when people get a visual, and we won't know more about his suspension. That's been pushed back till August 1st. We're going to be about a week at the training camp when that's going to start that procedure.
Yeah,
that's about the worst place to get in a fist fight in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
because the DA, they are tough on you, because they don't want people to feel like they come to Las Vegas and they get beat up.
Right.
Because the money involved, and so that, I don't know, that one. And usually he makes great decisions, but
yeah.
And plus, when a man's down, you can't jump on him and hit him, punch him 8 more times. so that to me, I question Alvin's judgment, because he's been unbelievable. And so I think we're not done there yet. I think even though I think Mark Ingram, I want to say he's going to turn 33 in December, if I got that right.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. He's 32 now.
That's we can get one more year out of Mark, but I don't know to say that Mark would get plug and play. I'm kind of intrigued with. But talk about a feel-good story, a great story. Abram Smith.
Yeah.
He could eventually or potentially be. Watch if he's a beast. Now we have to see how they put the pads on. They're not going to take him down. But I remember watching Chris Ivory and Kyrie Robinson.
Yeah.
Well, that's how they made the team. And actually, preseason game or in practice, how hard they ran. They ran like they were on fire. And that's why I'm intrigued with Abram Smith. You look at him, he looks the part. So I put together, he's right at 6 feet, right under 6 feet, about 220, 225. But the intriguing story with him, and we're all familiar with Dave Aranda because he was at LSU, the head coach at Baylor.
Right.
To show you what a team player he was a starting linebacker for Baylor and one of their top defensive players, but they were short at running back. So they put him at running back his senior year, and he gained 1,600 yards. It's a Baylor record. So he might be one of those Chris Ivory, Kyrie Robinson kind of guys when all said and done.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see now with Tony Smith. Not Tony Smith.
Tony Jones.
Tony Jones Jr.
Yeah.
For Notre Dame. But I don't think, he got hurt. High ankle sprain. It's like having a broke ankle. He didn't take advantage opportunity. We saw enough of him in camp that they got rid of Latavius Murray and kept him. But I look where we at offensively. I'm still at times, I guess I'm spoiled. I'm a little worried with the interior line. What I mean by spoiled is because you're not going to see that I'm going to be dead. I'm going to be long gone. It could be maybe another 50 years. You never have the combination of a Carl Nix and Jari Evans.
Nope.
At guard and how dominant they were. And Jari Evans have a chance to go in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I think Carl Nix is better.
Right.
Carl Nix, ended up not playing long enough because he had that bad staff when he went to Tampa. And then I think McCoy's a good center, but he's not a Max Unger. And we've always had, good centers.
Jonathan Goodwin, another one.
Yeah, Jonathan Goodwin. We've had the center position has been stout.
Mm-hmm.
I think McCoy kind of took a step back last year because the guys playing alongside him, Cesar Ruiz. Now, Cesar Ruiz, to me, we wouldn't be making so much a big deal out of this, but he was a first-round draft pick.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If he was a middle-round draft pick or free agent or ladder, like Throckmorton, I look at him. I mean, he has much upside, seems like a Cesar Ruiz, but I think that's why we're so hard on him. But we got Ryan Ramczyk and then Trevor Penning.
Yeah. What did you see from him, Bobby? Like as far as OTAs, how you feel like he's progressing? Are you seeing anything out there? Is there anything that's standing out that makes you realize, like, I understand why they got him?
TJ Taylor, truth, no, because the linemen don't do anything in OTA. To keep it real, I mean, you got to wait till training camp. They do one-on-one drills or they do inside run drills to really get a feel with the offensive line. But I know he looks the part.
Yeah.
Boy, I mean, Zach Strief is a giant of a man, and they can look at each other eye to eye. I guess that's a good thing. And I think the addition of Doug Marrone is also going to help try and develop a guy like Cesar Ruiz and those young offensive linemen.
Yeah.
And then when Andrus Peat, I don't know. I think Andrus Peat's another giant that I think he got pressured into playing football because he was so big. So people probably told him, man, you got to play football. So I think Andrus Peat likes football. I don't know if he loves it.
Right.
He's well compensated, so he has to love the money.
Yeah.
But Andrus Peat's one of those guys. He was so big that you almost have to have success. If you got any kind of coordination, the game I remember, and he could do it. When we played the Buffalo Bills,
I
think it was before COVID. We go up to Buffalo. The Buffalo Bills fans were leaving, like the beginning or the middle of the third quarter. Andrus Peat was like, we ran all over Buffalo. Andrus Peat was mauling this guy, whoever he was blocking. But you say, shoot, he needs to do that a handful of times this season, not just once every other year.
All right.
So Andrus is one I think can have still some upside, but I don't know if he has that fire in the belly where I'm waiting to see because the rumor is, or the reputation, that Trevor Penning, you don't have to motivate him. You got to pull him back. Yeah. He does have that fire in the belly because we don't want him to be like Kyle Turley and be out of control, where you whooping the guy up front, but then the whistle blew and you can't be tossing helmets and on the verge of fighting almost every play.
Exactly.
But I'd rather have to rein in a player than to always, maybe try to light a fire and get them going.
Yeah. I mean, I like the nasty demeanor. I feel like on the offensive line, I mean, you got to have, that nasty demeanor in order for you to be successful. I mean, you look at some of the great offensive linemen; those weren't a bunch of nice guys. Most of them that you see that are Hall of Famers are the ones that were mean and nasty. And when they have these documentaries about them playing, there's always a defensive end talking about, how they gave him a little extra, when the whistle blew, I mean, I think you need that. You need to be able to, to have that type of aggression in order for you to be successful on the offensive line. But I do want to ask you two questions. First, I want to ask you about wide receiver Chris Olave out of Ohio State. As far as him coming to the New Orleans Saints, where you feel like he can bring. And also, Bobby, there's been some rumors out here that's linking the Saints to another LSU Tiger, Odell Beckham Jr. Do you feel like the addition of Odell Beckham Jr. Is necessary at this time based on the Saints wide receiver depth chart? And once again, your opinion on Chris Olave.
Okay, I'm going to start with Odell first.
Okay.
Listen, Odell, the right price. Look, boy, Jarvis Landry, talk about giving a hometown discount and wanting to come back home.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unbelievable. Boy, it's a great deal for the Saints. And Jarvis looks like coming off of that injury he had with Cleveland, that he's still going to be compensated in the future. And then you look, Odell coming off the knee injury. Yeah. I don't know. It might be in his best interest to go back to the Rams, but there's only one football. As long as Odell, if he comes back here and he doesn't bitch, and being Jameis' ear for the ball, and could be the ultimate team player, then I'd be all for that. Cause, just another weapon. But I really think, I'd be surprised if Odell would come back, with the Saints, because I don't think he would take a kind of discount when you have with Jarvis Landry. And actually, Jarvis Landry, to me, has been a more productive NFL receiver than Odell.
That's true.
Potential or explosive. But you look, Michael Thomas ended up breaking Jarvis Landry's record for the most receptions in NFL history, like the first 3 years.
Yeah.
And so you look at the consistency there. I'm a big Jarvis Landry fan, and in the slot. It's not going to make ESPN top 10 or highlight reels, but as far as moving the change and quarterback, Jameis can have a confidence in you, a crucial down to make that first down. I think you got that in Jarvis Landry. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we need Michael Thomas, not necessarily to be the offensive player of the year, but comeback that when he comes back, that if you still can count on him to contribute, 90, 100 receptions. Whatever that might be. Now, with Chris Olave, I think if Michael Thomas is healthy and he has the right personality to handle this, he'll be the third banana. He's not going to be the one or two. Now, I think if everyone's healthy, it's Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry. And Chris Olave, I could see Jameis utilizing him like big plays. Like he might have only like one game, let's say like 4 targets, or 5 targets.
Right.
Well, we had a couple like big time games where ends up averaging, when you all said and done, like 18 yards a reception, which would be amongst the best in the NFL. Kind of like when Jameis hit Deontay Hardy last year, if you remember Deontay Harris, he changed his name to Deontay Hardy.
Yeah.
On a couple of bombs.
Yep.
I definitely can see Chris Olave, what I witnessed in practice, how smooth he runs. Well, but he is little. I tell you what, I stood by him, and I've lost a few pounds, but I still more look like a linebacker than a quarterback. and he just, I'm not saying he's skinny, but he's not. He's little. He just looks little to me. Now, will he go across the middle? I've talked to a few people off the record, and they'll say that's, you got to be concerned at times. Look, you don't see too many Ohio State reels of him going across the middle. I said, well, if he could just go vertical and be the outcut guy, maybe they utilize him that way. But when I look at, with Chris Olave and where he was drafted, he has to play good. I mean, what I mean by this, he can't take as long as maybe Robert Meacham, though Robert Meacham, off the top of my head, late first round pick, I think. Right. Or even, like Brandon Cooks been all these different places.
Right.
And he was a 1,000-yard receiver, but he wouldn't get that yards after the catch, that yak, because he was little. Like if you ran a jet sweep or a slant route, Brandon Cook was looking to fall down.
Yep.
He wasn't getting that yards after the catch. But Prince Olave should be willing to go across the middle because they really don't hit the receivers anymore. You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but then you get kicked out of the game. You get fined, like you're headhunting. Yeah. So I think he's playing at the right time.
Yeah.
Because when I talked to that one scout and he said, well, I don't know about him going across the middle. I said, well, they don't hit you anymore. playing 20 years ago or back in the day. So I'm not worried about our wide receiving core. I mean, I think they're going to be outstanding. And now, as far as receiving and, the running backs, who, he was catching the ball smooth, and he's going to give a chance. What he's going to do in preseason, Zigbo. Now, Zigbo looks the part. 3 years out of Nebraska, you think I'm kind of a practice squad guy, but you look like 6'2", 225, 230.
Yeah.
And he does not fight the ball. And the two practices the media got to witness, I charted, he had, I want to say off the top of my head, either 5 or 6 catches. I'm not talking about not for little gains.
Yeah.
Like swing routes, flat, like a wheel route. He got smooth hands, so he could be a running back also that has a chance. Because how Pete Carmichael, very similar with Sean, they're going to utilize the running back in the passing game.
Yeah.
And they want to be able to run the same type routes they can with Alvin Kamara, with all the backs. Put it this way, Ezigbo is like way better pass receiving running back than Ingram. And I'm not, trying to compare him to Ingram.
Yeah.
But like how you run screen plays and all that. So that's probably the only area right now until they put on the pads and like I said, you see the young guy at Baylor. Maybe if he can be that next Kyrie Robinson or Chris Ivory, Abram Smith, that I'll be looking for in the preseason for sure. When we start out when we play at Houston against the Texans.
Yeah, I mean, Devon Ezigbo, to me, his rookie season when the Saints got him, he played pretty well then. I just think that he came to a team that was already stacked at the running back position, and then he ended up going to Jacksonville. But I think if the Saints, like, if it was like the scenario last year with Latavius Murray and Tony Jones Jr., I think Devon Ezigbo would have made the team. I mean, I was pretty impressed. Right. Well, because I remember the game where they played the Dolphins in preseason. And he made some plays that stood out. And, I was having a show and I was talking about how he stood out, but I didn't expect for him to make it because at that time they had Ingram and, they had Kamara and they had like Dwayne Washington there and stuff like that. So I didn't feel like he was going to make the team. But, I mean, I think he has a strong chance. I don't think it's a coincidence they brought him back because I think that he might have a great opportunity to be a part of the team.
TJ, when you say it's all about timing, the right place, right time. When you're trying to make a roster and you got a good showing, that's why they brought him back. And the one guy, look at this guy. This is what a lot of running backs should try and be at the NFL level. And everybody's not going to be the star running back. This is the kind of career you want. And you brought him up, Dwayne Washington.
Yeah.
Look at Dwayne Washington be going on his 8th season. And why does Dwayne Washington make the Saints or play in the NFL?
Special team.
Solid in special team.
Yep.
You could plug and play him in a game and he's not lost. He mentally knows what to do. Even, I want to say, in a meaningless game, he had I think he had 100 yards against Carolina the 2 or 3 seasons ago.
Yep.
Like Dwayne Washington, that's if you're a running back trying to make it kind of copy anyone. And you want to have a career, you're not necessarily that star, but that's the kind of player you want to be at the NFL level, that running back position where they know they can count on you on special teams.
Yeah. I mean, that's real important. I mean, sometimes it may take you to go on special teams in order for you to be a part of the offense. I mean, even with Deontay Harris, now Hardy, I mean, he had that kick return, against the Jets in preseason, had that one against the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, he made first team All-Pro when it came to special teams, and now, he's an integral part of the offense. But it all started him being on special teams. And even, if it isn't the case, I mean, look at guys like JT Gray. I mean, All-Pro, Pro Bowler. I mean, there's opportunities for you to be in the league for a long time just ask somebody like Steve Tasker,
Yeah, and TJ, you bring up, you bring up JT Gray. And I remember at the time, I was like, man, why we get rid of Chris Banjo?
Yeah.
Chris Banjo was a stud. He went to the Cardinals, and then we got the better version of Chris Banjo.
Yeah.
I mean, JT Gray is that dominant on special teams when you look at what he's able to do. Now, DJ, I want to bring up also about, because it's his area of concern. Now, this I don't know. Maybe Taysom Hill might be the answer on like in a slot or something, kind of a flex tight end, but the tight end position.
Yeah.
I don't know about Troutman. I have to wait and see.
You out on Troutman? Are you out on Troutman?
Nick Burnett, and I don't know. I mean, if that, listen, you don't see, that's another position I guess we got spoiled.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even see, I'm trying to look, even to see, we have a Billy Miller, going way back.
Ooh.
And Drew first got here.
Yeah.
But, man, like, I remember when, we got spoiled with Jeremy Shockey.
Yeah.
Jimmy Graham. Now, who we have?
Benjamin Watson.
Benjamin Watson. Something like that. See, that's another position, I think. Like I got spoiled offensive guard, you get spoiled that kind of tight end production.
Yeah.
And so Troutman has to step up. He needs to, get off the pot. That's a great opportunity for him. But I'm kind of intrigued also when Taysom comes back from the Liz Frank surgery, that when Taysom Hill comes back, and like Dennis Allen said, that I don't want to see him standing by me on the sideline. I want to see him in the game.
Yeah.
So you're going to see, I think his number of snaps triple. And what I mean by that, let's say you have 65 average offensive snaps. So instead of getting like 12 a game, I could see that like 36.
Wow.
I'd say at least half he'll be in there, and how they're going to try and utilize him. And I would not, because he's not going to forget how to do this, like it worked at New England when we ran all over the Patriots. But in the red zone at times, even doing that power quarterback sweep, you don't really have to practice that. He would know what to do, or even if they all bunched up, doing some kind of play action out of that. So, but that would be a quarterback type play, or plays like a handful that you really don't have to practice.
Yeah,
that he could focus on. Being that tight end, that H-back, putting them on the wing, just moving them around and utilizing them that way. But I definitely, Taysom's ready to roll. We hadn't seen him out there because he's still recovering from the Liz Frank surgery. That he might be the tight end that we're looking for, or that production.
Yeah. What about Lucas Coral? I heard a lot about him, the tight end out of Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a dark horse. You know how the media, we always do this. Who's a potential, dark horse that you could see coming out of nowhere?
Yeah.
And, and the Saints, we've liked good drafted free agents. Going back to Pierre Thomas and all that. So Lucas Krull, that's a good point you brought up, that he's going to have opportunity. But if you're a free agent at tight end, what better team than to come to the Saints?
Yeah.
So this is a great opportunity for him, and see if he could take advantage of that, because he'll definitely have his chance.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing what those guys can do. The tight end position to me is probably the most intriguing position storyline going into training camp. And I'm just looking forward to seeing some of the things that are going to transpire leading up to preseason as well as the regular season. But Cajun Cannon, Bobby Hebert, thank you so much for being a part of the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. And just let everybody know how they can get in touch with you.
Well, I'm like Charles Barkley. I'm not doing social media. And so I do a show on WWL in New Orleans. When the time changes in the fall, at night we go like to 34 states.
Wow.
So, even I don't know if I ever told you this, TJ, when I was playing and living in Atlanta, when it gets dark early in the fall, I could hear WWL in New Orleans, in Atlanta, like I was living in New Orleans.
Wow.
and it was that clear. So that's when, well, that's what came about too, with because of the power of WWL 870 AM in New Orleans, in 105.3 FM also.
Yeah.
But that's how the Who Dat Nation came about. I know I told you that story before, but I'm gonna tell you again.
Yeah.
On December the 10th, 2006. We went to Dallas and whipped the Cowgirls. We beat them like 42-17. That's when Sean Payton was going against Parcells. I'm trying to think of the fullback grad from Arizona State. He caught 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He scored 3 touchdowns. Well, but that night, when in the post game, we ended up staying till about 3 in the morning because we all fired up, you know, and it was post Katrina. And they had fans calling in from Missouri, from North Carolina, you know, people that were displaced because of Katrina.
Right.
They go, "Oh, it's great to hear y'all voice. It feels like I'm back in New Orleans." And I said, "Well, there's a Who Dat Nation out there."
Yeah.
And that's how it all started. But yeah, so that's what I'm on the radio. I do. And it all started, you know how in different cities and people might drive to work and listen to sports talk shows or just talk radio. Well, here in New Orleans, it really got famous. As much as in the morning, was in the afternoon with Buddy DiLiberto.
Yeah.
About people driving home from work and listening. I might say, well, a lot of that might have been maybe to late night partying. and then by the time they got to work, they maybe had one of those late back jobs. They could show up about 11 or noon and they work late. And then they would listen to us on the way home. But that's how it all started. And then, you know, I look now, I've been doing this. 7 years in Atlanta doing the pre and post game, and now with the Saints.
Yeah.
I've been doing this 24 years. So
wow.
Time flies by.
Yeah. I mean, I say it all the time, rest in peace to Buddy D. I mean, he's one of the main reasons I got into broadcasting because, you know, I used to listen to him all the time. And also Frank Davis, the late Frank Davis, when he was on WWL as well, growing up in New Orleans. And, I became a Saints fan because of my grandmother. I think I told you this last time, Miss Maxine, who was a huge fan of yours and always used to watch you play and jump off the couch and just. But that's one of the main reasons what made me fall in love with broadcasting and fall in love with the Saints. So definitely appreciate.
Well, TJ, you got to keep spreading, I should say, the good news because. Listen, right? We're not the Jaguars. We're not rebuilding. We're not the Jets right now. We're not even in the major like 2 major cities. Yeah. So the NFL would really want the Jets, Giants, and the Bears, and obviously the LA teams to always win. Yep. The Chargers and Rams are legit. Yep. But as far as the Bears, Giants, and Jets, man, they got a ways to go. Yeah. So we got way more hope than those teams in those big cities.
Yeah, I mean, I don't look at this as a rebuild. I say this all the time on the show. I don't look at it as a rebuild. I mean, it's not like Sean Payton got fired; he stepped down. And I know a lot of Saints fans they're wondering why we don't change this, change that. You know, they got that old saying: "If it ain't broke, don't fix it." I mean, Sean Payton.
You make a great point there. Don't fix it, and people don't realize that if you look at all the games, because there was a three-headed monster, Drew Brees, Sean Payton, and Pete Carmichael. Right. All of those games in 16 years Sean was here. Mm-hmm. You count the Bounty Gate year and all that. Right. Do you know Pete Carmichael and Sean Payton gave him that liberty? I'm not talking about preseason games. I'm talking about regular season. Right. In that 16-year span, 16-season span, Pete Carmichael called the plays a total of 3 seasons. And we've had a top 3 offense, and even number 1 under Pete Carmichael. Yeah. Now, I know Drew Brees is the quarterback, but I'm saying Pete Carmichael knows how to call plays, so I'm not even worried about that. Yeah. I think the thing is, like, people are just used to seeing Sean Payton with the play sheet in his hand, and they just like, you know, Pete Carmichael was just a guy that was just there. But, I mean, some guys, you know, they don't have, like, I heard you say this before about Pete Carmichael. Some people just don't have that rah-rah personality, but behind the scenes, they're putting the game plan together. They making it work. And you mentioned like that one year where they averaged like about 400 plus yards a game or something like that when he was
calling plays. So I mean, he's capable.
No, and that's why Pete Carmichael, to me, veterans now like Jameis Winston, Andy Dalton, that it's like almost Andy Dalton like having an extra coach.
Yeah.
And, you know, and Pete Carmichael can tell him something and he understands.
Yep.
So he's not having, now I don't know enough about Pete about to train a young guy or a future guy.
Yeah. But
I know if a guy knows what they're doing, that Pete Carmichael could point him in the right direction. But why do you think Drew Brees had him all those years to get, even way back in San Diego?
Yep.
When he came to New Orleans. So, yeah, I think our quarterback room right now, with Pete Carmichael, they're not going to miss a beat. I think they're going to have success, and they have confidence in the coordinator that Pete Carmichael is. Like you said, they don't have the personality maybe to ever be a head coach, and he doesn't really want to do that. He likes football and he likes what he's doing.
Yeah.
So I'm optimistic that the quarterback room's going to be fine and James is going to have success.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely put some players around him for him to be able to create that success. Bobby, thank you so much for being a part of the State of the Saints podcast, and we look forward to hearing from you on WWL along with Kristen Garrett and Mike Detillier.
All right. Okay. Thanks a lot.